Thunderbolts tracking for a fair opening, the Oscars finally adds a stunt category, and HBO's Harry Potter series officially casts its Hogwarts faculty. All that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name's Matthew Carroll, and with me on this lovely panel today, we have Jay Sisson. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, not too much. Happy to be here and ready to talk about the news. Even if it's a lighter week, it's always good to have our regular cast.
Oh, yeah. It's good to just see you guys. Get to hang out and talk about things we love. And Haley, what's going on with you?
Hi, I'm here. It is Wednesday.
Haley Hobbs.
It feels like Wednesday.
It's a middle of the week, hump day. And Jay Scotty St. Clair, what's going on, buddy?
Hello. I'm going to be very slow and deliberate with my delivery because it's such a slow week. We got to pad the runtime on this thing.
We do not.
We do not have to pad the
runtime. That is not a thing.
I'm going to let the words pour out like molasses.
Everybody just listen to this one on 2 times speed.
Who's got a filibuster in them? Break it out.
Immediately now.
We memorized Patton Oswalt's soliloquy.
Yeah, the Star Wars one.
Twin suns shine down on the sands of Tatooine. I think that's
Very
all
nice.
I know.
Very nice. I love that they actually did that when it came time. It's so good. Doesn't it line up time-wise, too? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Like if you play the Patton Oswalt thing and the beginning of the Boba Fett series, the timing is the same.
It's pretty, I think it's pretty cool.
I think they did it very deliberately. Really funny.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Star Wars rules.
Yes, it's pretty fun. All right, well, we got a 5-star review from this week. Thank you so much. We always like to read out a 5-star review. Cryptic Mage says, the best place to get news on TV shows, movies, games, cartoons, celebrities, and more. I have never missed a show since I started listening. This is actually only the second time I have rated or reviewed a podcast, and this is the second time I've given a podcast a 5-star. They're both in the Stranded Panda Network. Thank you so much, Cryptic Mage.
We're an esteemed company.
Tough grader.
Yeah, well, they've only graded 2 though, and they were both 5 stars. I don't know if it's a tough grader,
Well,
but at least
I mean, out of how many
had to earn
podcasts
it.
in the world, we don't know how many they listen to.
It's true.
We're elite.
It's true. Yeah, sure.
That's right.
I would use that word to describe us. Yes.
I fear my humility won't allow me to.
Right.
Who all's seen the finale for Daredevil so far?
Everyone but Jay.
I have.
Hey, you know I'm always trying to catch up. I've been watching it, okay? I'm moving a little slower than y'all, you know? It's taking me some time.
Because you're in the holler. Things just move slow
right.
down there.
Yeah, we get the episodes a little late down here. We have to mail them in.
Mail them in. You're like Christopher Walken. We're still watching him on the DVD.
I have mad respect for that, by the way. Like, he's like, I'm not letting the internet into my home. Physical media only.
So wise.
I'm so jealous of that life.
Yeah, it really is a good thing, I think. So because Daredevil has concluded, we are going to be back on our regular schedule here on Multiverse News. There's not the MCU cast all getting in our way. So we'll be back here on Tuesday nights and dropping on Wednesdays like we were for a long time. So we'll be back to normal here on the Multiverse News feed. So hopefully we'll see some of our friends who couldn't make it to the Tuesday night recordings and stuff over at the live on YouTube. So youtube.com/strandedpanda, 7:30 Central every Tuesday night. All right, let's move into our first story. Marvel Studios kicks off the summer blockbuster season in just 2 weeks with the release of Thunderbolts on May 2nd. With tickets now on sale, box office tracking and projections ahead of the film's release are forecasting a solid, if not somewhat soft, opening weekend, with most estimates landing between $63 and $77 million. While that is on the lower side for an MCU movie, optimists believe the general lower level of familiarity with the characters on the roster, combined with the positive test screenings, could give the film significant potential and room to grow in subsequent weeks via word of mouth. Elsewhere, Captain America actor Anthony Mackie offered some insights on Avengers Doomsday while promoting Twisted Metal Season 2 for Peacock, saying it's going to give the audience that old Marvel feeling they always had. Are these tidbits and teases enough to satisfy our appetites for all things Marvel?
Well, as it stands currently, I am quite satiated. I'm actually kind of on a media blackout when it comes to all things Thunderbolts now. So you may be saying, hey, why aren't they talking about the new Thunderbolts trailer that's out there? Maybe some other people can, chime in on that. But for me, I'm done. I'm going media quiet until I get to see the thing in the theater. So to that end, I am obviously extremely excited for it. And when I look at these numbers, 63 to 77 million, I think most projections have been skewing a little bit higher towards like that 70 million at least. That's respectable. And we have to keep in mind that for any film that is not a part of the most successful franchise of all time, like that's a pretty decent opening. But even that being the case, with this being the first official like summer blockbuster, Marvel always does one in early May, late April. I just kind of hope that these experts, there's like an incalculable, intangible kind of like hype factor that they're just not able to account for. And I think, diehards like myself that watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I've seen Black Widow more than once. Like I do have a strong desire to see some of these lesser known characters come back to the forefront and just get that continuity that we've been talking about. So, if I'm wrong, it's okay. It's okay. If it does at least do what they're projecting here, as long as it doesn't suffer, serious drops like unfortunately Brave New World did, it's going to be okay. So I also want to address Florence Pugh had some comments talking about one of the stunts in the movie where she does we've seen it in the trailer, she does the leap off the building, and apparently she had to fight to be the one to do that, to get to do her own stunts. So I think that's awesome. And I think I'm already a big fan of Florence Pugh's, but this just even more so. Like, we're going to talk about stunts later on, but if she can kind of position herself as like a real action star and also have, that indie darling kind of love, I think she's really setting herself up to be like a huge star. And I'm kind of, glad that I was an early adopter when it comes to being a fan of Flo.
Early adopter is a funny thing to use in the fandom realm. I adopted Florence Pugh very early.
If you're Kevin Feige, though, like, do you want to let one of the biggest stars in the world jump off the second tallest building in the world? Maybe not. So I guess I kind of understand him being a little hesitant to put her in extreme danger.
We talked about it a lot last week with Tom Cruise and how would we have stars doing that sort of thing in the future. And at least Florence Pugh's into it. So that's doing at least some level of crazy stunts. So that's cool. I dig that.
I think to address the opening, if we just want to split it in the middle and say like 70 million or something like that as the domestic opening, it is definitely it's on the softer side. It is lower than Captain America 4. But Captain America 4, like you said, did have a steep drop off. And I think the word of mouth on Captain America 4 was okay, but it wasn't particularly strong. I think it seemed like, if we're just judging it on the Rotten Tomatoes score, I think fans liked it, but I think just judging it on just the general public, it was kind of received as, hey, it's a movie, it's a Marvel movie, it's good for the theater, but the vibe that kind of comes off of that sort of word of mouth is you can wait for streaming. And I think it's clear that there is interest in Marvel. I mean, we think back to Deadpool and Wolverine last summer. We think forward to a lot of the conversation around these Avengers movies. Like, the interest is there in Marvel, but I think the interest is not as much in the camp since Avengers Endgame, really, of we have to see it in the theater because it's Marvel. And so I think people have interest in seeing Marvel in the theater, but that component of, hey, this is a really good movie and you should go see it, like, that has to be attached to it. If the reviews and when the embargo lifts, if the reviews come out and they're all like 3 out of 5 stars, 6 out of 10 stars, it's okay, it's a Marvel movie, it's fun, it's kind of messy and chopped up, and you kind of get that like it's a standard Marvel movie kind of line, then I think you'll see a low-ish opening with a steep drop-off in the second weekend, and then it'll probably hit like $400 million worldwide, and then you're just sitting here saying like, well, that was another one that we don't feel great about numbers-wise. So I think, looking at it in an optimistic way, I think it does seem like there's a lot of hype generated for the movie, and it seems like people that are in the know that have seen it, like you mentioned, test screenings have been positive for it. And so if it can come out and it can have the strong score and it can have the strong word of mouth, like I would anticipate that opening weekend to be higher than that 70. But more importantly than that, you would hope that it would have the strong hold, that then next weekend it wouldn't fall off a cliff like Captain America did, for example, where it had a low-ish, like okay, but low-ish opening compared to Marvel, but then just bombed in the next weekend and just didn't really ever come back up, right? Never really got people out to the theater. And so with Thunderbolts, I think, again, it's that word of mouth for Marvel, I think is just really, it's more important now than it's ever been in the MCU. And if it can come out and it can be strong and people can say that they like it and it can get that hype generated, like people will show up for it, I think. It's just, will it have that type of component to it?
Yeah. My fear for this movie is that it's going to be really great, but it's not going to do numbers. And I guess like my real hope is that how its numbers financially are commensurate with how good it is. Because honestly, if it's another kind of lazy Marvel movie that's like good but not great, like it's like Jay was saying, it's that like it's another Marvel movie. I like a Marvel movie. I enjoy a Marvel movie, but the ones that are really wonderful are the ones that try something new and they expand what it is to be a Marvel movie, And if you're just doing something that's been done before, not that I don't enjoy that thing, but it's not something I need to see 6 times or whatever, it's not something that's going to get me hype. And I think they've had a long run of things that were good and not great. And so my fear is this is going to be great just based on the trailers and the actors and everything in it. It just seems like it's set up to be wonderful. The trailers look amazing. But I'm scared that it's going to do bad numbers because then they learn the wrong lessons. It's like they try something different and interesting, and then that doesn't do well either. But I think what's weird is like, I think this one's going to be different than a lot of what they've done. I think it could be really great for that. But it's also so steeped in the lore, like we were saying, the characters aren't as well known, and so many of the characters, it is going to be more connected, which is cool for us who watch everything. But that is a real turnoff to people who don't watch everything, who are kind of completists, and they're like, "Oh well, I can't go see that yet. I haven't seen the last 6 movies." And it's like, no, they just want they need to just get people back in the door to see a good Marvel movie, and so I'm really hopeful, but I am concerned that like it will be wonderful, and that won't be shown in the results, and then we get less of that wonderful in the future.
They're hanging their hat on Florence Pugh. She's the main marketing focus. They've done like the behind the scenes of her stepping off the building. That would be a post-movie thing in a normal world, but they're schlepping it because they want people to come because Flo's in the movie, and don't you love Florence Pugh? She's in everything, and you love her in everything, except Little Women. And I think that it's an interesting tactic. Like when I look at the marketing they did for Captain America, Brave New World, and it was so not there. It was almost non-existent. They stopped marketing the movie several weeks before it came out, and then they were already doing Thunderbolts. So we've been getting hit with Thunderbolts marketing from mid-February, till it's 2 weeks away, and they're still putting stuff out. That trailer was not worth watching. Like, I don't know why they did it. I think they're starting to oversaturate. And so I don't know if they're like, at first when they started hitting us with Thunderbolts, I was like, oh, they're really confident in this film. They really think that people will be excited to see it because it'll be a team-up film. Now I'm like, you're really pushing it hard. But again, like with Brave New World, I'm not seeing the press junket. I'm not seeing the Hot Ones interviews. I'm not seeing the Hot Ones versus thing. Like, I'm not seeing all these social media gamuts that they need to do. This short form content is what gets people's attention. And I just don't know what they're doing marketing wise. And I don't know that they do either. It seems like they're kind of all over the place. I'm available to be consulting. So I just don't know. I'm just like, are you confident in it? I'm not sure. And so maybe that opening number is the way it is for a reason, is because it's like, we just don't know if Florence Pugh is enough to get people to the theaters to see this movie. I think it is. I think it looks great. I'm still most hyped for this movie. My husband just asked me this week and he's like, which one are you? I'm like, I'm still Thunderbolts. Like, it's always been the one I'm really excited for. I think that Marvel has to, and I think the public at large has to get over the whole, not get over. Sorry, that'll make people mad. I think it's just a shift in mindset of like, now there's 20 plus of these movies, plus there's TV shows. It's just a different Marvel cinematic universe that we're living in. It's one of extended stories and more characters, which means more complications, which means less of what we were raised on and more of what it is now.
Yeah. You use the word confidence, and that kind of struck a chord with me because I think it really is difficult for Marvel to be confident right now, regardless of how good they think a movie is, just because the reception, and it's still, that is the rhetoric, and it continues to vex me and kind of infuriate me, but it's like everything Marvel that comes out, Marvel's back, Marvel's dead, Marvel's back, Marvel's dead. So I can't help but think like there were some anecdotes that like internally Marvel was really confident in Quantumania. So when it got the reception that it did, that caused them to do like a real, head jerk and kind of, damage control immediately. So yeah, with these projections and stuff like that, I do think it is to be somewhat protective. But on that note too, Matt, you brought up like, okay, this continuity, does it polarize people? Does it alienate people? Does it make it more inaccessible for them? I think there are tiers of fandom, and I think that they have to get the people that are casual fans that they talk about Marvel online, but they don't do it with the nuance, and they'll just be like, they'll casually talk. I went to go see the new Marvel movie. It's fire. Everybody should go see it. You got to get that person to talk positively about the movie to get the person that may be on the fence. Otherwise, they're not going to go back and watch everything that they need to. But if that casual person says, yeah, go see it, then you see the numbers for like Deadpool, Wolverine, what have you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, numbers for Deadpool and Wolverine, those kinds of numbers, part of that is it's Deadpool and Wolverine, and everyone's wanted to see that since they were 12 or whatever. When we were reading these comic books and seeing Deadpool and Wolverine fight in the comics, we're kids, and now we're seeing it on the screen. So the people that may not have watched a Marvel movie in 10 years will come to the theater because it's this thing they wanted to see. And they expect it'll be funny, even if it's not something they know everything about, Sure. So I don't expect those kind of numbers from Thunderbolts, but I do really hope that it is so good that, as we've said, the word of mouth picks it up and carries it week after week after week, and it gets those numbers, those return viewings and stuff. Because I'm just hopeful. I think it looks great.
You have to have the pitch. I mean, you have to get, because there's a large portion of the population that they're somewhat on the periphery interested in Marvel. They saw Infinity War and then they saw Endgame, and then they might have only seen like Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine, and those are the last two to do big numbers since Endgame. So it's there's a lot of people out there like that are for the taking. They can be convinced to come to the theater and buy a ticket to a Marvel movie, but they will not come to the theater for just any Marvel movie. So it's how are you going to track and pull as many of those people as you can to try to come out for the experience?
Yeah, it's not beating up on the movie. It's a giant that for so long didn't have to do anything to get people to come to their movies. Yeah. And now they do. And they're not sure how to do it still. They're still figuring it out. It's like any business that like, I don't know, whatever, use whatever example you want. And then all of a sudden times change or whatever changes. And it's, COVID's a great example of how businesses and everything had to shift. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge example that doesn't really make sense with Marvel, but it did affect movies and stuff like that. So I think that Marvel I think they're still just trying to figure it out. It's like, well, how do we get back to that time? And I think it's harder now than they probably thought it would be. I think it's harder than anyone thought it would be.
The thing that bothers me is that sometimes we go see these movies and we all see the flaw in it. You know what I mean? Like we all, like all of us fans look at it and see the same big glaring flaws where it's like, it was good, but it clearly could have done this better, or it was good, but it could have done this, and like this was telegraphed in the trailer, and we didn't need to know, like the Red Hulk thing, or there's these big narratives that build up, and it just like concerns me because it felt like for those first three phases, people were in the room catching those things and making sure the narrative was out properly. You know what I mean? And it feels like that's not happening anymore. And I don't know. I think it's a combination of the marketing and how they release them and the movies themselves. And they're not doing a great job of like building the rolling ball of excitement that they used to be. That doesn't mean the movies aren't good, but they're not building on themselves. And we've talked about that a million times with the continuity and the connectivity that's lacking. But this could be the one. I'm really hoping this is the one. I'm hoping this is a Guardians of the Galaxy moment where everybody goes, oh, this is another thing that Marvel can be, you know?
This is the slam. This is the one.
This is the slam? What are you talking about?
You never heard that song? This is the slam. This is the one. We gonna do it like it ain't been done before.
No,
It's like
no, sir.
popular in the early 2000s.
Nope. No, it wasn't.
POD or something like that.
It's not on the millennial bangers
I haven't
list I've
thought
been
about
listening to on
POD
Spotify.
since 2001. So, or whatever
Yeah,
there you go.
year
That's
they
what I'm
were
here
around.
for.
I know that Here Comes the Boom was a POD song.
Maybe I got the lyrics wrong. That wouldn't be the first time.
Oh man. All right, well, let's move on to their next story. The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences has announced the introduction of a new Oscars category for achievement in stunt design, set to debut at the 100th Academy Awards in 2028, honoring films released in 2027. This decision follows years of advocacy from industry professionals, including director and former stuntman David Leitch and stunt coordinator Chris O'Hara, who was notably credited as the first official stunt designer for his work on The Fall Guy. While the specific criteria and presentation details are yet to be finalized, this move is seen as a significant step forward toward recognizing the creative and technical artistry of stunt professionals in filmmaking. However, there is notably disappointment that earlier works, such as Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible series, will not be eligible for the new recognition. Where do we land on this one? Safely on the cushioned pad or just outside of it with a bruise or two?
I'm like the crash dummy in the cars. Like, man, it's about time we're doing this. I think it's really exciting that arena of filmmaking is going to get that kind of acclaim. I will say, like, if they do it at the televised Academy Awards, because there are the technical awards and stuff like that that aren't televised, etc. Then we need to shorten some things about the Oscars, you guys. Again, I am available for efficiency counseling, and you can totally hire me at the Oscars. It'll be great. I can shorten stuff like you would never believe. But I think it should go there. I do. And I think that if they're going to do it that far out, there's probably a reason, but they should certainly do something like a legacy award I mean, because it is, of course, that opens a can of worms, doesn't it? Of course it does, because that kind of thing will, but it is a damn shame to see what Tom Cruise is going to do in this upcoming Mission Impossible this year, and it just misses the deadline. Like, it just sucks. So, not that there aren't other amazing stunt things going on, and really, that takes, that's an actor doing it. And of course, that's a big deal, but it does kind of take away from, we want to focus on these stunt people, these stunt coordinators, the ones who truly are doing the work. Not that Tom Cruise isn't, of course he is, but the point is to give recognition to these people who have gone largely unrecognized for a long time.
And that's the thing of the Tom Cruise of it all. I feel, not that the things he does aren't crazy, but like, it seems like everything stuntmen do are kind of crazy,
You
and
have
it's
to
like
be a little crazy.
he gets that credit because he's the celebrity. But I wonder if this had existed during the Mission Impossible, would we be just getting a lot of people being like, "Oh, come on, that is not the best stunt. This other thing was clearly a better stunt. But it's Tom Cruise, so he always wins." It would have had that whole. It may have actually undercut, and that just goes to the whole like weird thing we do when we give awards to art, because it does this like it makes the art competitive, which it really shouldn't be in a way, at least, but it's also important in its own way. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's about time. This was long overdue to happen. We've talked about it before as being a possibility of something that we hoped we would see at some point in the Oscars, and there's been a lot of lead up to this and support for this building in Hollywood for a long time. So totally makes sense that it finally got over the finish line. I do wonder if it will change the industry at all when we're talking about filmmaking. Like, will we see directors maybe opt to try to add in some more elaborate stunts into their films, like into their action films, try to up the budget a little bit around the stunts and try to get that their film into the conversation. If you've already have an action movie and you feel like by adding some scenes that push the envelope a little bit in terms of stunts, that could get you into that conversation of an Oscar. Like, I mean, if I'm a director, I'm wanting to do that. I'm wanting to write a stunt scene that maybe treads new ground or tries something that's never been tried before, or brings in some type of stunt man that has a pedigree that hasn't won before and wants to try to push for that. So I think it could have the potential, at least, to increase not only the number of stunts that we see in these movies, but also just the elaborateness of these stunts that we see in movies, that this is something now that you can win an Oscar for. You can get your name into that conversation if you can do it right.
Yeah.
Methinks that final reckoning is no longer so final. We'll have to see, but yeah.
They keep pulling me back in.
Yeah. As we've all said, this is long overdue. I can't help but feel like Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp and the closing scene of Ant-Man. It's about damn time, right? But looking at this, so it's going to be about 3 years before we're talking about any winners. It's going to be the 2028 ceremony. So what films will we be talking about at that time? If everything goes according to plan, Secret Wars is probably going to be a big contender here. So that would be, quite a story. The first time we have stunts at the Oscar, if the biggest media franchise in the world has the comeback that we're hoping between Doomsday and Secret Wars, and they take the Oscar for some insane stunt, I'd be a pretty happy camper.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a great point. Like, it could push that level of acclaim could push some of these big studio movies to move, at least in one scene in their movie, away from the CGI and show us some stunts, because you think about Endgame, and I love that movie, but it is animated in a lot of the scenes. It's just lots of blue screen, green screen, CGI, everything, and very effective, very good CGI, but like still CGI, and you can tell. And there's just something very visceral when a stuntman's really on screen. So yeah, that's a really good point. I like that. I just like anything that pushes toward people try holding on to the old arts, the old magics.
Absolutely.
What could Tom Cruise do though, like that he hasn't done before?
He's got to go to space, right?
Yeah, space is definitely up there. I mean, like they're already putting
Katy Perry did it. How hard can it be?
Yeah,
she was up there for like 8 minutes. Come on.
God, such a joke.
Yeah, it's got to be space at some point. I mean, Fast and the Furious did it.
You call that space? It's not space. You call yourself an astronaut? Get out of here, Katy Perry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, up next, HBO has officially announced the adult cast for its upcoming Harry Potter TV series, confirming several roles and actors we've discussed, along with some new additions. John Lithgow will portray Albus Dumbledore. Janet McTeer is cast as Minerva McGonagall. Papa Esedu takes on Severus Snape, and Nick Frost will play Rubus Hagrid. Rubus, is that right?
Rubius.
Thank you.
Sorry, the Potterheads will come after us.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I knew his first name. And Nick Frost will play Rubius Hagrid. Additionally, Luke Fallon has been cast as Professor Quirrell. I don't know these first names well. I don't know. Apparently, I got through read these books and did not really get these first names well. Quirinus Quirrell and Paul Whitehouse will portray Argus Filch. Casting, man, we're gonna be doing so many stories, and I'm gonna have to read these Harry Potter names. At least I don't have to do the spells or whatever. Casting for the central trio, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, is still underway with over 32,000 children auditioning for these iconic roles. The series is set to begin filming in summer 2025, aiming for a 2026 premiere. Are we enchanted by the adult cast so far?
Yeah, like you said, we already knew the big ones here. There were not any huge reveals. We've already, in various lightning round stories, talked about the four main ones, which are Dumbledore and McGonagall and Hagrid and Snape, and all of the rumored castings that the trades were reporting back then were all confirmed. So it is nice to have it officially confirmed by HBO. They've been kind of radio silent anytime one of these casting rumors has come out. They've just never confirmed them. So it is good to finally have the confirmation. I actually like all of these roles. I know that the Snape one is a little kind of up in the air with people who are fans of this material because of just the difference in the look of the actor versus Snape, but from the movies. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's, I don't know. I like the casting. I think like you're trying to cast young enough to where these aren't older people to the point where you can't keep them around for a decade. So I think skewing a bit younger. So like Papa Esidu and Janet McTeer and Nick Frost and John Lithgow's kind of old, but I mean he is Dumbledore. But those three at least, like you're skewing a little younger, and I think that you have to. I mean you're talking about a decade plus commitment to make this series, so you have to skew a bit younger. So it's just are the characters going to look a little bit different? Of course they will, because you have to keep them around for so long. So I think like that's something you always have to consider here. The Quirrell casting and the Filch casting are new. These are minor-ish characters. I mean, Quirrell is a bigger character in the first book, but Filch is kind of a side character throughout most of the movies. And at the end of the day, the three kids who are going to portray the main roles, that's going to be the story, right? Like that's going to be when it finally happens. That's the one that's going to beg a lot of conversation. The 32,000 kids is crazy because that's not just 32,000 kids. Like you got to hear it right. That's not just 32,000 kids applied. That's that they reviewed 32,000 kids for these roles. So they talked about it in this confirmation announcement. They talked about how they basically like went through hundreds a day. Like they were just literally going through like hundreds and hundreds. And I just can't imagine doing like 100 viewings of a kid that kind of looks like Harry Potter and trying to like figure out what micro differences exist between them. Like, do you make a bracket? Do you like, I don't know how you do that because it seems like they would all run together after a while. It's like, look, another kid in glasses and dark hair. Like, I don't know. So that'll be a fascinating conversation when we get to that point. And it should also be noted that they were asked in the announcement, like, what about Harry, Ron, Hermione? And they were kind of like, yeah, we're not there yet. Like, they didn't say what I expected them to say, which is, we're almost there. We got it. We kind of got it locked in. Just doing the final negotiations. I kind of because they're supposed to start shooting this thing soon. So I kind of expected, yeah, we're close. But they were basically like, we're not. So wow. I don't think we're that close, I guess, which is crazy to announcing that. But yeah, I mean, it's shaping up, and there's a lot of casting still to come for this. There's a lot of so much information has to come out about this before it actually comes out on HBO. So there's a lot to happen here with this, but this is a good start. I like this cast so far. I think it's pretty strong.
I hope that they just drop the kids' announcements one day. I hope there's no leaks and we don't get maybe this is going to be it.
Oh,
like
yeah, we've been
getting. I want it to just be like, boom. This is it.
Yeah,
and I hope they're lying to us about we're
all
not close.
once.
Like, you have to be close. You have to be at this point.
There's some publicists out there being like, let's leak that my kid is Harry so that he gets some, like, eyes on him before whatever,
Yeah. We're not doing another Fantastic Four situation over here.
Right.
God, no.
Yeah. I do look at this lineup of characters, though, and I think it is telling in terms of like what the production on the show is going to look like. And it makes sense. You're going to want to get the faculty of Hogwarts in place because the majority of the season is going to take place in Hogwarts. The majority of the special effects are going to happen at Hogwarts. So, and when we eventually do get these kids cast, they're going to have a good rapport and chemistry with these adult characters, because while Harry Potter is a story that's very focused on the juveniles, the adults are very, very important, and even more so as the story goes on. So it is interesting that, we don't have the Dursleys cast at this point, but again, I think that just speaks to the fact that all the Hogwarts stuff is going to get shot first, then they'll go back and do the opening sequences and whatnot. But Yeah, I like everybody in this cast. I'm obviously a lot more familiar with John Lithgow and Nick Frost than I am Janet McTeer or Papa Asidu, but I think every single one of these. Oh, and actually, I'm not familiar at all with Paul Whitehouse or what's this other guy, Luke Thalen. But with the pedigree that seems to be on display thus far, I have a lot of confidence in the casting that they're doing. So I think we're shaping up for a pretty quality series, no matter what your level of fervor or fandom is when it comes to the Wizarding world.
Yeah. I think I'm most excited for Nick Frost. I think he's a great call for Hagrid. And just his vibe will be really good for Hagrid. He's been in, it seems like a lot of, since the days of the Cornetto trilogy, he's done a lot of a lot of smaller roles that like were kind of in this geeky space, and I think that just seems like a passion of his. So I think he'll attack that with all of his might and be a good Hagrid. I'm pumped for him. All right, well, guys, that's our feature stories. When we get back, we've got a great lightning round for you. WB Brass greenlights Minecraft and Beetlejuice sequels. The Last of Us Season 2 premiere viewership numbers. Mikey Madison passes on Star Wars. And the rumor mill churns. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Multiverse News. So we got a Patreon, you guys. You should check out our Patreon. What do we got going on over on the Patreon? Somebody?
Do you like Multiverse News? Do you like stickers?
Yes.
Do you like getting Multiverse News weekly, free of charge in your podcast app? Well, all of it can be yours on a different level I'm getting kind of lost here. If you join the Patreon, $4 a month, it's basically $1 an episode. You get that sticker that's on your screen right now. I mean, come on, take a look at it. It's beautiful. You get it for free. You get some exclusive content. You get to have some exclusive polls. You also get 10% off our merch store anytime you want. And you get to support the show. You get to be kind of a co-author of this thing that we build every week by supporting us on Patreon. So, times are tough here in this economy, but if you can spare $4 a month, come on over. We would really appreciate it. If you are looking for ways to support us past the 5-star reviews and the subscribing and all of the wonderful things that people do for us already, Patreon is a great opportunity to join with us and help make this thing happen.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone who already does. This week we want to shout out. Every week we try to shout out one of our members over on the Patreon. So our shout out this week is to Jaime Hernandez. Thank you so much, Jaime. We really, really appreciate you joining us over there and all of our wonderful, wonderful patrons. Let's turn to our Spotify poll. Man, this Spotify poll I felt like was pretty brutal. Have you seen Minecraft? I was really curious because it is a property that is like on the line. I feel like I was in college and when it was just starting and some geekier friends of mine were playing it, and then it spread to this thing that every child plays. So we have yes, because I wanted to, 8.9%. Yes, because I have kids, 20%, and no at 71%. So, yeah, it seems like our audience and the Minecraft audience do not have a lot of crossover for whatever reason.
We're just here for the memes,
I mean, 30% of our audience going to see it is like pretty solid, but then 20%, like 2/3 of the ones who went to see it going like, I didn't want to.
I was held at gunpoint by my child.
I was forced to go. I was an unwilling captive.
Yeah. That's pretty rough. It's pretty rough.
Hey, I've been there. I stand in solidarity with all those parents.
Have you seen it yet, Jay?
I have seen the Paw Patrol movie. I have seen both Paw Patrol movies in theaters. So I feel it. No, I haven't seen it. I'm going this weekend with my kids. So I'll report back on if I get popcorn thrown on me when Chicken Jockey comes out or not.
Or
Nice.
Live Chicken is released in your...
It should be late enough for that. I feel like the meme is over. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just setting myself up for disaster.
That may be the only thing it is now. Like, no one is actually going to see the movie. It's only going for the meme. All right. Let's turn to our lightning round. This is where I'm going to read a story, and only one of us is going to respond to it by claiming it, by shouting out our name. And once per lightning round, though, you can get a rebuttal once for the entire lightning round. Here we go. In an interview with Deadline, Warner Bros. Mike DeLuca and Pam Abbey confirmed that the studio is moving forward with a sequel to a Minecraft movie and Beetlejuice. This weekend, a Minecraft movie crossed $500 million at the global box office.
Jay, we're making a sequel to a $500 million movie. Okay, makes total sense. It will probably make $1 billion. I mean, we said last week on the cast, like, why haven't they announced the sequel at this point? Like, it's
they were on
at
vacation.
that point, they were like, we'll get there. You know, Warner Brothers kind of needed a win a little bit. They have not been coming off the greatest success at the box office, and so to have Minecraft and Beetlejuice, it's like they're doing the thing that they needed to do, which is they're taking stock of what works and what people see in theaters, and they're saying, make another one of those. They're praying that Superman does well this summer so they can build out their DC side of Warner Brothers. And, you know, makes total sense that you would go in this direction. Mm-hmm. Successful movies get sequels.
Absolutely. A24 has released the first trailer for Ari Aster's Eddington, which stars Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, and Emma Stone. The film will premiere next month at the Cannes Film Festival and then will release in theaters on July 18th.
Scotty, yeah, this was a pretty hotly anticipated trailer for me, and Ari Aster's an inherently fascinating filmmaker. He has done two of my favorite horror films for A24 in Hereditary and Midsommar. And then he followed that up with Beau is Afraid, which is just a mind trip. That's the only way to describe that movie. So this trailer, I went in with I didn't know anything about it except for the title is Eddington. So Eddington is a fictional town in New Mexico, and he's delving into like the political. I don't think it's going to be a straight up political thriller. I think there's going to be a lot of satire, a lot of like social anxiety, but it seems to be the buildup of a conflict between a mayor and a sheriff, and those are your characters in Pedro Pascal and Joaquin Phoenix there. So still a lot to learn about this one, but even the poster is just really interesting. It's a bull running off a cliff with other bulls running with it. So, I think that's kind of telling you what to expect there when you get somebody that is hard charging and thinks a certain way and gets a stampede to follow him. It's a lemming situation, and I'm definitely excited to see what the reception coming out of the festival is, but I'm going to see it regardless because I'm a Ari Aster completionist.
Comedian Nate Bargatze will host the 77th Annual Emmy Awards, which will be held on September 14th.
Haley, Nate Bargatze is really popular where I live in the Midwest. I know people like him because he's a clean comedian. And that's probably, if you're the Emmys, something you want to look for. I don't know. I don't even remember. Was it Nikki? No, she did the Golden Globes. I don't even remember who hosted the Emmys this year. Is that bad? So,
Hold on. 2024.
I have no earthly idea.
Host was Dan and Eugene Levy.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And they did a great job.
They did, yeah.
I don't have any opinion on him because I've never listened to his comedy or watched his specials. I just know he's pretty popular with people.
Yeah.
And he has a book called Big Dumb Eyes, which is really funny. The title.
I guess I'll jump in for a rebuttal. I'm surprised by this because Nate Bargatze's style of comedy is very insecure. He's not really, clearly. It's a character he is playing, and he's very
it's very self-deprecating, I think.
It's very self-deprecating and very he thinks he sounds, or you're supposed to think he sounds kind of dumb. And so that's a really interesting thing to have somebody get up and do an award show. I don't know. I think of very assured comedians doing that. And so it's a very interesting juxtaposition there. I'm down for it because Nate Bargatze's really funny. And he did a really great job on SNL when he hosted both times. Just really killed it and had a lot of viral moments there, so I'm interested to see what he'll do because I think it'll be a very different style of comedy show. And my favorite late night show growing up was always Conan O'Brien because I thought it was the most comedy focused, and I feel like this might be a very comedy focused hosting appearance, and I think that's good for these kinds of shows.
I forgot he was on SNL, and I did see a lot of those skits, and he's got skill in sketch comedy. Like you can tell that he can work on the fly, which works well for something like that. So yeah, I'm open to it. I think having a comedian in, like you said, I'm totally down for that.
Yeah. The Last of Us Season 2 debuted to 5.3 million viewers, a 13% increase from the Season 1 premiere.
Jay.
Yeah, I mean, two of the people who watched The Last of Us premiere are sitting right here, so half this podcast watched it. And it's I mean, this Season 2, you guys already knew I was going to like it because I talk about it all the time. I think it's great, but it is cementing itself as one of HBO's flagship shows as we're going forward. It's cementing itself as, when we're talking HBO and we're talking Succession and we're talking Game of Thrones, like it's trying to sniff that territory as being one of the key properties of HBO, and I think it's getting there.
Yeah. Insider Jeff Snyder is reporting that a remake of the 1988 horror cult classic Killer Clowns from Outer Space is in the works at MGM, and Ryan Gosling is attached to produce. The scoop is currently unconfirmed at this time.
Scotty, yeah, Jeff Snyder has a pretty good track record, so I'm slightly inclined to believe this one. That coupled with the fact that Ryan Gosling has been attached to horror remakes in the past, like the Wolfman that came out that ended up starring Christopher Abbott, that came out in February. It might have been January. He was attached to that as a producer and was originally supposed to star in it. I didn't end up seeing it because the word of mouth was just not strong enough for it. But if this pans out to be true, I'll be kind of excited for it because I was a kid that suffered from a fear of clowns, largely because I was exposed to the 1990s It TV movie when I was way too young. And I remember catching Killer Clowns from Outer Space just on TV, on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it initially scared me, but I was able to laugh at it. It was so campy, so cheesy that slowly but surely that helped me overcome that fear. So I had a lot of fun revisiting it in 2017 when those movies came out. So maybe this could recapture some similar magic there.
Jurassic Park star Sam Neill will be joining the cast of the upcoming Godzilla x Kong Monsterverse sequel, which will be directed by Grant Sputor.
Jay, elephant in the room is that these are also big beasts that he's in a movie with as the human character.
The monster in the room, you mean?
They're like, get the guy from Jurassic Park. It makes sense. Big animals fighting each other. Just get him in here.
Big monster.
What's the tall one with the long neck? I'm not good at dinosaurs.
Brontosaurus?
Is that the Brontosaurus? Yeah.
Or the Brachiosaurus.
Wow, you whipped that out fast.
Brontosaurus.
Potosaurus? Welcome to the Archaeology Cast, where we break down all the dinosaurs.
I weirdly watch a lot of weird archaeology stuff.
Today on the cast, did dinosaurs have feathers? Yes or no?
I need to watch the new Titanic 3D scan thing on Nat Geo. That's my weird thing.
That's cool. Ahead of the Star Wars Celebration this weekend, a new Darth Vader novel titled Master of Evil from author Adam Christopher has been announced, which will release on November 11th.
Haley! I love Adam Christopher writing Star Wars. One of his books is one of the first ones I ever read, which is called Shadow of the Sith, and it follows Luke and Lando Calrissian, and they're kind of on the trail trying to find, of course his name's gonna forget me, but the guy who took Rey's parents. So the alien that took Rey's parents. So anyway, it's a fabulous book. Huh?
Oh no, Rey's parents. Sorry, took Rey is what I was thinking.
What name did you say though?
Isn't it Plutarch? Isn't that the guy who took Rey?
Plutarch is from Hunger Games, I thought.
No, you might be right.
Unkar Plutt is the guy that...
Also a Greek philosopher. So,
Oh.
Sorry.
But we digress. So Adam Christopher writes good Star Wars is the bottom line here. I'm excited for this announcement. It also came out with some we've already talked about, which was the Art of the Acolyte book and the visual guide for the Acolyte. I'm just really, really looking forward to any other print pieces that are going to get announced this weekend at Celebration in Japan.
Yeah. Via Daniel Reitman, that is Daniel RPK, there's a rumor that Jesse Plemons and Jodie Comer are reportedly on the shortlist for roles in Sean Levy's upcoming Star Wars film. The Plemons... all right.
We're just going to refer to them as the Plemons from here.
Yeah, just heretofore, those two will be known as the Plemons. Sorry. Golly. With Plemons considered for the main antagonist role, while neither actor has been officially cast, Plemons is seen as a more likely candidate, whereas Comer's previous role as Rey's mother in The Rise of Skywalker may affect her chances.
Haley, no, I mean, come on, like, whatever. We saw her for 2 seconds. You wouldn't even know it was Jodie Comer if you didn't know it was Jodie Comer, so it's okay if she's playing someone else. We still don't know enough about this Sean Levy movie. I know, like, Ryan Gosling might star in it, right? So,
I think he is attached to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or at least it was like strongly rumored. I don't remember what we ended up saying, but yeah, we just know nothing about this movie. It's hard to talk about something when you know nothing about it except it's Star Wars and Sean Levy.
Tiny butt, if you think that someone being on screen for a second in Star Wars isn't something that fans will obsess about if she's cast, it's like, oh, she's true, she's the ancestor of the Rey's mother
to like get over it. You know what I mean? Like maybe they need pushed a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Jesse Plemons has played a surprising amount of villains in his career pretty well. He was a villain in Breaking Bad. He was a villain in A24 Civil War. He was a villain in a Black Mirror episode, and he was so good as the villain in that episode, the USS Callister episode. He's been a villain across a lot of properties over the years. There's a lot that I'm forgetting probably. And I think he plays that role really well. He's got like the creepy factor to him pretty well.
Yes, he does. All right. As for some officially confirmed news regarding Levy's Star Wars, Variety's sources say recent Oscar winner Mikey Madison was offered and turned down a leading role in the film.
Yep. Scotty, Jay, you and I were kind of talking about this off air, and this isn't super surprising, and nor do I think it is a mistake on Mikey Madison's part. I think you can look at other actors that won a big award and went on to be attached to franchise material, and it didn't work that well for them. Like the cast of West Side Story, there, Rachel Zegler and Ariana DeBose, like coming off of wins there, their careers have just not been there. They may have been given the opportunities, but in terms of the quality, it hasn't really been there. So I think, this makes sense for Mikey to focus on smaller fare, kind of build up her resume a little bit, and then come back and really be a name to pay attention to. But if she does somewhere down the line want to join Star Wars, she's more than welcome. Any of these franchises, I think she would be a great addition to.
100%. Alfonso Cuarón is rumored to be in discussions to direct the 26th James Bond film based on some recent comments alluding to a beloved franchise while presenting at the Paris Cinema Club. Though Amazon has yet to confirm his involvement, Cuarón stated, "I love the Bond films, and if the opportunity arises, it would be an honor to contribute to such an iconic franchise."
Haley, I'd be down for this. I think that's not a terrible directorial choice at all for James Bond, especially if they want to start a new feel and a new look, which every time you have a new Bond, there's a new feel and look to the movies. So, yeah, if he ends up being it, that's great.
Indeed. All right, well, that is the show. Let's go around and tell people how what you got going on. Jay Sisson.
Yeah, you can catch me weekly at Commute the Podcast on Mondays. So if you haven't done that, please join us over there. And Scotty and I covered the first episode of The Last of Us Season 2 on Always Watching. Matt will join in with us in the coming weeks. So if you are not subscribed on Always Watching and you watch The Last of Us, we had a strong start to Season 2. So come join us over there while it's early. Get subscribed on Always Watching and follow along with us as we journey through this season. Only 6 weeks to go. It's a short season, but we'll be there.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on. Haley Hobbs, so what you got going on?
Ryan and I just finished reading some more Secret Wars stuff on source pages. We're going to do an Andor Season 2 primer, and they have also started covering the Doctor Who season that's new on Disney+. I don't know how many of those I'll be on, so I'll say that they're covering it just because of time. And then Andor dovetails into Andor coverage, where lots of us will be talking about Andor Season 2 on Always Watching for 4 weeks, and that's going to be a lot of content.
Indeed. A lot of Stranded Panda content coming at you. J. Scotty St. Clair.
Catch me on Always Watching for that Last of Us Season 2 coverage, as well as the Andor coverage.
Mm-hmm. Angie joined us this week on a lot of the coverage for Daredevil these last few weeks. So
that is true.
Come join me and J. Scotty over there for all those Daredevil episodes, a bunch of them. And if you are watching Daredevil and have enjoyed it, I have been writing a song for Daredevil every week. So if you dig that, please help me out and help support the project and just give me a chance to write more and produce more music. So you can go to strandedpanda.com/helpmatt. I'm doing a fundraiser for it, and you get t-shirts and CDs, and they'll be really cool. I've got really good designers, but I was wanting to wait till the songs were done to design the stuff based on those. So it'll be really good stuff, I'm absolutely sure. So check that out, and we'll be back here on Multiverse News next week. Tuesday nights, back on Tuesday nights. Yeah. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. Strandedpanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.